we have a very small percentage of women that come to us that overeat. Let me be clear, the majority of women that come to us don't eat enough during the day.
And that lets you save. Who cares?
Welcome to a brand new edition of Ageless Energy, where we talk about how to burn fat, increase energy, and balance hormones for women over 40. Over the past 20 years as a performance coach, I've worked with hundreds of women that have the exact same struggles you do. I hope to shine some light with this podcast on what can be the most challenging time of your life and let you know there is hope to find success with your health and what you're looking for. Please share and enjoy. All right, today I'm going to talk about how to set your metabolism on fire. This is what we do. This is where our Metabolism Accelerator program came from. We've been teaching how to increase your metabolism for years. It was just like a newer aha that I was like, hey, we teach women this. And most of them are over 40, not all of most. So that's where we got that's where we continually share our niche. But it's different, right? Like life is different after 40. Life is different after 30. Life is different after 20. Like as you go through at different stages of your life, life is different. So at different stages of life, we go through different things, right? Like, and for us, when we say women over 40, like you're in a different stage than you were in your 30s and in your 20s and in your teens, right? Like that's common sense. But I feel like sometimes people are like, why is this catered to women 40 plus? Because more particularly, you're going through different changes in your life. And this is a good time to help understand what's happening and how you can make changes. And that's what I want to talk about today when it comes to your metabolism, because like this is what happens. Like we have these conversations on a regular basis. Every day someone comes to us and is like, hey, don't know what's going on with my hormones, or don't know what's going on with my body fat. Like, why can't I tried everything. Let me put that in quotations. I've tried everything. I would say it's literally impossible to try everything because there's so many. I'll give you like a small, what is it? 8 billion people in this world. I'll give you a small snapshot of, I'm in a paid mastermind group with coaching and mentors. That's why I'm such a big fan of coaches and mentors, of paying for someone's time, because you get so much more value from it. And there's over 100 of us in this one single tiny little group, and everyone does something different. Like, of course they're similar. Like you have similar, like they offer nutrition, they offer fitness, they offer support in some way or another, right? But every single person, every one of us, like none of us do it the same. Like none of us believe the exact same with nutrition, the exact same with fitness. And I guess that's different. Like you could look at something like a Beachbody program. That's more like a template of what everyone does, right? That's not what I'm talking about. But I feel like we limit our mindset so much when they're like, oh, because I've talked to people once in a while and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so does it just like that. Oh yeah, I've tried that before. And I'm like, if you haven't tried what we do before, then you haven't tried, then you haven't done it before. So opening your mindset to new things and new avenues of growth and knowledge and understanding is super important when it comes to learning about health, nutrition. There's so much to it. We've been doing this for, most of my life, but over 20 years. It's a long time. I started when I was very young learning. This sounds crazy. I grabbed a little chair. I remember I was in my grandma's kitchen. I grabbed a little chair and I was watching a workout video. Remember when they used to have those on TV? And I was like pushing this chair and I was like exercising. I don't know where that came from. I was just like, hey, it's on TV. Maybe I should exercise. So I've been exercising, fortunately, much of my life. But for 20 years, we've been doing this as a profession, and there's so much to learn. So often we'll hear people like, oh, I'm just going to try this for a couple weeks. And I'm like, you're going to try what for a couple weeks? If you try anything for a couple weeks, it's not going to work. You might see short-term results and you should see something right out the gate, but it's going to take much longer for you to invest your time and finances as well. The more financially invested, the more emotionally you're invested. But hopefully that gives you some understanding of where you're at. And it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 40, 50, 60, you can still learn and you can still adjust and you still can improve your health, which is why many of you are here. So at this stage in life, it tends to be different in the realm of metabolism. So we feel like we see that your metabolism at this age starts to slow down significantly. And there's a number of different factors for that. So let me start off with lifestyle, because that's an easy one. So you think that your lifestyle is the same, but it's not. So in many cases, we don't look back at the things that we used to do. So whether that's walking more often, or maybe you used to play a sport, or maybe you did something more active that was like a community type of thing. A lot of times we see people slowing down with their age, which is unfortunate, of course, but that seems to be the reality that we live in. And I'm not talking about every single person, of course. This is a generalization of, we see people becoming more sedentary. And I mean, my gosh, the world we live in today, you don't even go to Blockbuster. Some of you might not, if we had a younger audience, you might not remember, but our 40 plus audience would understand. We used to go to Blockbuster, and we used to get up off the couch, walk down the stairs or out of the house, get in the car, and you drive to Blockbuster. And you'd have to do the same thing to return it. And of course, I'm joking a little bit here, but that was more activity. And now to get a movie, you don't have to move. In fact, what percentage of the world doesn't have to get up out of their chair and move to go get a movie from Blockbuster? It doesn't happen anymore. It's a click of the button. And now we have like all these, you can get groceries delivered to your house. You can get meals. I just got a coupon in the mail for Uber Eats. And I was like, we have Uber Eats here? I didn't even know. I don't even really know what it is. I think that they'll go to a restaurant. Someone help me out here. They'll go to the restaurant and pick up the food and bring it to your house, right? It's like a delivery system from Uber. I don't know. Anyways, you could do everything from your house, from your couch. So this world we live in is changed much more than it used to be. Like, you used to have to go to the pizza place. Like Friday night, they would say, maybe they still do this. I haven't ordered pizza in a while. Not that I never have pizza. I just don't remember. It happened this recently. They say, would you like pickup or delivery? And I'd imagine now there's no pickup option. It's like, when would you like it delivered? And like, so the world we live in today is much different in the movement and the activity and the things that we do from day to day life, which makes it much more challenging for you to burn body fat. And I know maybe it sounds like an oversimplification. That's not like a groundbreaking tip, but I want to explain to you that our life has changed whether we think it has or not. Like, maybe some of you are getting closer to retirement, or maybe some of you aren't chasing your kids every day. Maybe it's your grandkids once a week or once a month, whatever it is. So your activity level has changed in many ways, and you probably haven't realized it. So it's easier as a more sedentary individual. Of course, not everyone, just the majority is what we find, is they're not moving as much as they used to. So we have our social media. Like, we didn't grow up. You and I didn't grow up with a cell phone. You and I didn't grow up with standing in line at the grocery store, flipping through your newsfeed. We used to talk to people, right? It's just a different world. And I feel like sometimes our minds don't catch up with our action. Like, we still think we're the same person doing the same activities as 20 years ago, but that's not reality. The reality is our lives have become more sedentary. We don't need to get up and move around as much, and you're slowly accumulating more body fat. And then then often we hear someone that has tried the 21-day fix, and they're like, oh, I've tried everything. Doesn't work. And I'm like, you've tried one thing for 3 weeks. No wonder it doesn't work. So that's to help you understand, like, we need to start getting active and moving, and maybe even paying attention to our activity level. You can look at the 10,000 step thing. I read this book, and it was talking about how 10,000 steps really doesn't have anything to do with anything. I didn't do a deep dive into that research, but from what I heard, at least in this one research article, was about how they were trying to sell a watch, and they were talking about how this watch could count your 10,000 steps a day. So that for whatever reason, that started to become the norm. Start walking 10,000 steps. I think it's a good benchmark, or to have something at the very least to start tracking, like how active you are or how much you're moving. I feel like that'd be a great way to start to realize if you're some people are on their feet all day, right? But here's the thing, is you have to realize what your normal is, because whatever your normal is, that's your baseline. We could look at that financially, what your baseline is, and your temperature gauge. Some people have a very low temperature gauge of finances, and that needs to be higher, but they always go back to their temperature gauge, right? So we have to raise that. Same thing when it comes to whether that's your body weight, your energy level. We all have a temperature gauge that we either come back down to, we have our temperature gauge and we drop that sometimes, whether that's financially, it could be relationship wise. I like to mention those three, because those are the three main struggles in this world: is your health, finances, and relationships. So I gauge my success on those three, of what type of relationships do we have, what type of, how are we doing financially? And then what was the other one? Oh, health-wise, of course, that's something that's we always talk about as health professionals. So the sedentary lifestyle thing is number one. Understanding that we need to start getting moving more, otherwise our metabolism will be slower and continues to be. I want to talk about nutrition and fitness here in a slightly different mindset that maybe you've heard before. So number one, when it comes to nutrition, we need to start eating more frequently. So the thing here is that with women in particular, like as caregivers, we see them calorie restricting, nutrition depleting, nutrient depletion, because they're so busy running around. Like you're running around with the kids or grandkids, you're making lunch for the spouse, you're always putting yourself last, whatever it is, right? So you put yourself last and what's left for you is crumbs, right? So sometimes you may skip breakfast altogether or pick at some food, right? It's not really a meal. You can look at having something to eat late lunch, but in most cases we see a lot of women in this age group having some type of lunch around, like a later lunch around 1 or 2, right? Just because they're so busy and they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to eat. Then we see a big meal in the evening time. So one big meal with maybe a snack-ish, or let's say even 2 meals. Like that's not a lot of food in your system. And then you're snacking, craving, hitting the pantry while you're sitting on the couch, Netflixing and scrolling. And I mean, that's a pretty general statement. And I know some of you might be sitting there like, I don't do anything like that. And that's fine. But many of the people that come to us and say, I need some help, or lack of energy, don't have proper digestion, not able to burn body fat, they have a very slow metabolism because they're not eating enough food. So 85% plus of the women that come to us and start working with us, and we put them on a meal plan specific for their weight, we tell them exactly how many calories they eat. And almost all of them are like, wow. Maybe you guys could let me know in the comments. Let our other watchers know in the comments if you were like, wow, this is a lot of food, or I didn't know I should eat this much food. Here's the thing is like, we don't know what we don't know, right? I just wrote this post about hard work. Like we don't really know. If you've never worked hard, you don't know what hard work is. And that's all there is to it. It's not like, that's not to put anyone down. It's just, we don't know what we don't know. No one does. So hard work is, I looked at this car I was interested in, and there was this guy said he used to work on the rigs. This was the sales guy, younger guy, early 20s. He used to work on the rigs, and he was like, oh, that's hard work. He's like, I really learned how to work hard. He's like, I could outwork anyone at his job. And I think he meant manually. And I'm like, okay. We were just talking, just having a conversation. And then he said, so I asked him a question, like 2 questions. That's it. I asked him there's one thing that didn't look like it was working right, and then another thing about charging. And he said, let me go look and I'll get back to you. What happened? A couple months later, he never got back to me. So I'm thinking, he didn't want to put in the work for the sale. He actually told me, he's like, this doesn't even feel like work. All I do is talk to people. But he didn't realize that you have to follow up. You have to do your research. You have to know about the cars, the flaws, the benefits. He didn't understand that. He literally just thought he could stand there and talk to people and he would get a sale. And then I have another example of when I played baseball. I wasn't that good. I was pretty good. I just wasn't great at anything. So when I graduated high school, I went to the US, and I got there and everyone was better than me. I was one of the worst players on the team. I barely made the team. And I said, the only way I'm going to get better is if I'm the first one to show up on the field and last one to leave. So I promised myself that throughout my career. Didn't matter what league I was in, what level, or what team I was playing for. I would be the first and last to leave. So because I'd put in work before they got there. When everyone left, I'd be still putting in work. Then when I got to the professional level, I ran into guys that got there before me and stayed later. And I didn't realize how hard they worked to get there. I guess how much harder they worked than I did. So I had to change my level of hard work. And here's the thing is like, it's the same thing if you put that to food or effort. A lot of times people put in a very small amount of effort and they're like, oh, they think that this is a lot of effort, and it's not, really not. And it's the same thing if you look at food. Like sometimes people are like, oh, I eat lots of food all day. And then I look at their food journal and I'm like, where's the lots of food? You're eating 1,200 calories or less. You're starving yourself. So that's why you have a very slow metabolism. You don't have proper digestion. You have zero energy, and it becomes a mindset adjustment that we teach our clients of, I know it feels like a lot of food to you right now, but your body's going to settle into this. You're going to, and here's the tough one for a lot of people to understand is that once they start to increase their metabolism, they're going to get hungry. So in the morning, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. I've never felt this before. That's how we know your metabolism is speeding up and this process is starting to work. That's when we see the scales start to drop and your body fat start to melt. So it's not always necessarily the scale dropping, especially if you're a lighter individual or don't have a ton. But that's why we take progress pictures, because a lot of times people are only looking at the scale. And if the scale's not dropping, they're like, this isn't working. And that's like that failed, in my opinion, that failed measure of success or even progress is such a detriment. Like sometimes I know some of you are sitting there and like, oh my gosh, taking progress pictures. Yeah, we take progress pictures. We need to, because if we don't, we're not able to see what's working, what isn't. And if you're only gauging your success on the scale, you're going to fail. And that's why so many people run into this issue of they don't know if their program their program is working. They don't know if their new nutrition is on track, if their new workouts are being helpful. That's why you have coaches to be like, look, if you don't take measurements with a tape, if you don't take progress pictures, there's no way for us to tell if it's actually working or not. And if you're only using the scale, it could be 2 pounds up because you drank more water that day. It could be that time of the month. It could be a dozen other things. But if you don't actually measure your progress, there's no way to tell if you're going down the right path. So there's a tip for you guys on the side. If you're serious about your health and seeing results, and you're not involved in a program or you don't have coaches, you have to start doing that yourself. Like you have to start taking progress pictures and comparing them like we do. You have to start looking at measurements and being like, okay, this is actually making a difference. You stepping on the scale isn't gauging your progress. It's not gauging your success. All this is disappointing you, which is why it's probably the least accurate of success. However, we check the scale on a regular basis so we can adjust our clients' calories to make sure they're in the right place to help them continue to see results. But most cases, they would tell you that once you jump in to a program and you start eating more food, you're like, oh my gosh, and then your natural mind goes to, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain a bunch of weight, right? It doesn't happen like that. It's counterintuitive to think or believe that more food equals more weight, but that's not how it works. Our body needs fuel. And here's the thing, is that your body actually goes into a stressful state. So it goes into a fight or flight state. And I just had this conversation with a newer member, and I'll get to workouts here, but let me preface. She said, I'm working out. So we start everyone off with 3 days a week so we can develop a baseline first. So we start them exercising 3 days a week. And that is a minimum for you to see results. That's something else that we see from people is they come in, they're working out once or twice a week and not seeing the results they're looking for. And I say, well, you're not exercising enough. That goes back to the hard work of people believing like, I only need to exercise twice a week to see results. Like, I don't know where that came from, but it's false. So to start seeing results, it's 3 times a week is what your baseline is. So write this down. Start exercising 3 times a week. That's not 3 sessions of cardio. That's not 3 20-minute or even hour walks. I'm talking about resistance training. That's a much different workout or maybe in philosophy than a lot of times people come like, hey, I walk all the time. And I'm like, how's that going for you? Like, is that helping you burn body fat? And they're like, well, no. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't count as a workout. I'm talking about resistance training workouts. So 3 workouts a week as a baseline. So we had a newer client say, I work out 5 times a week or 5 to 6 times a week. And I'm like, okay. And how's that working for you? Like not seeing the results you're looking for. Okay. So we need to take a step back. And here's the thing is that we think that more is always better. More. That's the world we live in, right? Bigger house, more. Fancier car, more cost. We think that more will get us, but it's not always more. It's sometimes we have to change our approach. So what I said is, if you want to trust me, let's take a step back. Let's get you working out 3 days a week with a proper exercise routine. And then we can add from there when I feel you're ready, if you want to give that a shot. And here's the thing, like some people aren't coachable. And that's all there is to it. Some people are completely resistant when you start offering suggestions and they're like, no, that doesn't work because of this. Or I don't want to try that because of this. And like those type of people, and I only say that whether you're coachable or not is because it's really challenging for you to see results if you haven't. It's hard for you to see results if you're not coachable. Like if I offer a suggestion and someone is completely resistant to my suggestions, how could I help? It's nearly impossible. And the thing is that they've been doing the same thing, trying on their own for so long. It's for some people, it's just ingrained in them that like, no, I'm doing what my brain says I should do, even though it's not seeing the results. So another suggestion or tip for you would be to have an open mind and understanding and learning about what's going on with your body and what hasn't been working now likely isn't going to help in the future. So you have to continue to change your mindset and adjust what are the things that you're doing. So when I say you have to eat more food to burn body fat, I know there's people in our program that are like, don't really believe that. So they're trying to skim on the meal plan and they're trying to skim on their calories and then they're telling me that they're eating everything. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm doing this for 20 years. So if you're not seeing the results you're looking for, like we have a very clear plan and we know we can get you results if it's followed. It's the mindset that we do more of our training on. We did a fantastic coaching call on Tuesday with our MAP members, and it was all about conditioned responses. I don't want to get into it too much, but that was all mind blowing for a lot of people because they never heard of that before. Like never heard that our actions or something in our life has caused a conditioned response in our life. I talked about Pavlov and his dog at any rate for another time, but we have to be open-minded about new suggestions and new ideas. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see new results.
One of the things I would like to ask of you guys is that some of you know that I don't run ads on the show and don't plan on in the immediate future. So the only ask I have for you is that you help us spread the word so we can help more women burn body fat, increase energy, and balance their hormones. And the only way that we can do that is if you can rate and review this podcast. So the single thing that I could have you do or could ask of you is to leave a review. It'll take 5 minutes or one swipe with a thumb. It would mean the absolute world to me. And more importantly, you could change the world for someone else. As many of you know, there's plenty of women that struggle in this age group for balancing hormones, increasing energy, and burning body fat. So if you could help spread the word, that would make a big difference in our life and probably someone else's as well.
So in that case, I feel like, and we only started working together recently, so I need more time. It's only been a short time, so I need more time to help understand what they're going through and what's happening with their body. But I believe that they're overtraining, so they have to have an open mind enough to take a step back and then go through a different training program, a different process, and probably a different philosophy. And that is based around, for us, it's full body workouts or full body movement. So there's so many different philosophies, and this is how we found success, but one in particular is full body workouts. So those full body workouts hit your entire body, which will increase your metabolism in a different way. So you could look at conventional workouts. So conventional workout, like in my opinion, old school bodybuilding is like bis and tris. Like that's a superset day or a push pull day. What else did we do? I guess it doesn't matter. Like back in bis was a day we used to do. Like, but women in this age group still do that. And I'm like, okay, it's okay if you like working out that way. I personally don't think from our experience it's the best way to see results unless you're like, as a female, I want bigger bis. That's different. Like maybe you have different goals, but to increase your metabolism, burn body fat, and increase energy, we found the best way is through full body workouts, which include off day recovery days, mobility days, stretching days. We're working on more detoxing days or relaxing days, because that, going back to the individual she was working out so much, we see that a lot from not to pick on CrossFit, but we do see that a lot from the CrossFit community of women coming from there to us, not only with a bunch of injuries, but on top of that, their cortisol levels are so high because they just keep pushing, and then they end up breaking down mentally, physically, emotionally, and that needs to be built back up from the ground up. So that is something to understand, is that sometimes you need to take a step back. I suppose it'd be helpful if I knew if you guys were working out regularly or if you're not at all. Who's working out right now in this, who's watching? So I guess there's two sides. Like sometimes we see people that aren't doing much activity at all. And you know what I really want to do? I took this whole course on this age group and older. I think it was actually closer to 60, 70, but exercise in your brain and how it could help in so many different ways, not just mentally, but actually brain development, brain clarity, hippocamp. Like there was so much to it. And like the very basics of brain health was moving your body. It was incredible. It was eye-opening. I would love to do a whole conversation on just working out, or just brain health in particular, which would include working out. So we have to, I always say, if you want different results, you have to take a different action steps, different philosophy, which starts with a different mindset. So if you're working out 5-6 times a week, you're not seeing the results you're looking for, like that's a lot of working out for little to zero results, right? Like something's got to give. Like there's something not going right there. So it's either nutrition or the type of workouts that you're doing. And here's the thing, like there's so much to it, right? Like we have to look at I have like a holistic view of exactly what you're doing. And I feel like a lot of times people are like, I should just eat right. But that's a generalization, right? They have no idea what eating right is, going back to the hard work, or how much food you should be consuming, what types of food. So eating, like I eat pretty clean. I get that all the time. Everyone, like most of the world thinks they eat pretty clean. You have no idea how many people think they eat clean. Almost everyone tells me that I eat pretty clean. And I look at their food journal and I'm like, what do you think not clean would look like? Right? Because you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And I don't mean to sound condescending. I'm just saying, like, some people's like meal plans or what they consume is horrible, really. And they're like, I don't know why my digestion is all over the place. And I'm like, have you seen what you eat? And it's the same thing with stress levels. Like, I got digestion problems. I got really bad digestion problems. Okay, so we talk about their lifestyle. That's what coaching is for. And they are incredibly stressed out. And I'm like, do you think your digestion issues have anything to do with your stress? Well, maybe. And I'm like, okay, let me just tell you then. It has everything to do with your stress. So you guys have to look at your stress levels. You have to look at your hormones, including cortisol levels. Balancing your gut bacteria will also help with your hormones when putting the proper foods in there or removing the foods. So I hope this is helpful. I know there's a lot. There's a lot to it. It's not just like, here's a meal plan, jump on board and you'll see all the results that you're looking for. It doesn't exactly work like that. You need someone to help. Help guide you and work you through challenging times. And I'm hoping some of these tips will give you an idea. But let me recap here before I wrap things up. Give me a couple minutes and I'll let you go. So understanding that your life may be more sedentary now. That's number one. And moving. Like moving your body, whether that's 10,000 days or starting to count or starting to exercise or starting to walk, you got to do something. And I suppose I give walking a bad name or cardio, but I feel like it's still good. Like getting yourself out and walking in fresh air, especially in nature with your pet. Amazing. That's not going to get you the finely tuned athletic machine. That's not going to get your body fat burned like you want it to. So someone might come to me and they're like, I walk an hour every day or I walk an hour 3 days a week. And I'm like, okay, like that's great, but you're not going to get the results you want by walking. It doesn't happen. So there's that activity level and then your workouts. I suggest starting as a baseline. And that doesn't mean you stay at 3 workouts forever. I would suggest adding in your walks or possibly adding in walks or jogs or doing something more activity wise that's not limited to 3 times a week. That's just a baseline of resistance training. And then we can add from there. Some of our clients we do lower back work with them. We do knee work with them. There's a bunch of stuff that we do. So as a baseline, 3 workouts. And then looking at food, you're probably eating far less food. Like you're probably not eating enough food. And that's all there is to it. So consider probably eating, it's hard to say without knowing, right? Maybe you're overeating. We have a very small percentage of women that come to us that overeat, but it's possible that you're eating too much. And I say, that I'm saying you're probably under eating, right? Let me be clear. The majority of women that come to us don't eat enough during the day, but wouldn't be able to tell unless I actually knew. And then one of the other things that I want to mention is that to see the results that you're looking for, you need to stay on track all the time. I don't believe in the 80-20. I think that's nonsense when it comes to this type of stuff. I feel like we flip that over and 20% we stay on track and 80% we do what we want. If we follow that rule or law, stay on track all the time. And then when you have those special moments when you want to do something a little bit different, a little bit extra, a little bit cheat, like I don't believe in like a cheat. Stay on track all the time, not 5 days a week and do whatever you want on the week. Like that type of stuff doesn't work. Or every time you go away on vacation, you don't exercise and you eat whatever you want. And you go on vacation every other month. It's not going to work, right? So do your best to stay on track on a regular basis. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any questions and I can help, shoot me a message. If you guys want to jump on a quick call, we call it a free discovery call to see what you're doing and offer some insight or offer some direction, we can definitely set that up as well. Other than that, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day. All the best in setting your metabolism on fire, and we'll catch you soon. Take care, everyone.